Click the links to join the channel here over at SubStar, now over at Odyssey. So the people complaining about YouTube is like going to McDonald's and complaining about fast food. It's the absolute last resort when you're on the road. So what is going on? People on social media, Twitter, are very upset about stuff like the Acolyte, Dustborn, Concord, and there's a ton of more stuff out there. It's just to kind of have it on my radar means I have to be familiar with it, which means like watching Rings of Power, which if you haven't seen it, it takes a bit to get through. Though I will say season 2 is better than season 1, but still it's bizarrely bad. So the soy people and the perpetual victim class of the oppressed they them types, on Twitter, are losing their minds over the recent failures of woke Hollywood and video games because they have had a lot of bombs in movies and games, to the point where I'm looking at the future of Hollywood and I go, I keep saying you're going to see a massive change in the next few years, because you just can't keep having movies that lose $100 million. Eventually you run out of other people's money, where, whatever venture capitalists or stockbrokers, you're going to have some kind of uprising from the majority shareholders, or you're going to have VC people look at it and go, yeah, this is just there's bad investments and there's bad investments, long shots that you're hoping every movie is a Joker or a Deadpool, where I think those were $50 million movies and the payoff was $1 billion. And so you're hoping on something like that with a back end payoff. It's like, well, that's a long shot. And more often than not, you have those Disney Red Panda movies about the girl turns into a panda, and that turned into like a $250 million loss. And you have a lot of those movies, to the point where Hollywood is congratulating themselves when they have The Little Mermaid or Shang-Chi, where after a year they might break even, they might not. It's like, that's a win. No, that's not. Money has like an investment value time, and you're not hoping so that's technically still a loss because of Kamala's inflation. Anyway, so what is happening is the left wing, these SJW Twitter kids, are now in the position of defending these massive mega corporations, and just red letter media, consume product. Jay, don't ask questions, just keep consuming product. And if you had told me, 30 years ago, sitting around smoking weed, dropping whatever with a bunch of, long-haired, dreadlocked hippie types, that in the future they'd be in the position of defending Disney, it just wouldn't have connected with us on the left or the right. And yes, back 30 years ago, the left or the right, and I mean the far right, could sit back and enjoy a adult beverage or something else with the far left. It was just a different environment back then. Anyway, so what they say is our criticism is hate, and their hate, of course, is criticism. And another thing that's coming up is they're saying that the YouTube, the Fandom Menace type of channels are hating just to hate. And I've seen Zach's community posts where he's so I say whining about that as well, which he is, as much as I like the guy, which is weird because he got his channel going by laughing at how stupid woke comics are. So it seems like kind of a staggering lack of self-awareness on Mr. Myers' part, but whatever. So first of all, to the I still think he's a fantastic writer. It's just his takes on everything other than comics and writing comic books. As a writer, he's top notch. I think what's that book with Ibe Canales, Iron Sights with Ibe Canales, the Spanish guy. That was fantastic. That was like a Jack Reacher type of novel, and Mr. Myers really, was hiding his light under a bushel to show that he could actually write, but his takes on everything else are just really dumb. Anyway, so first of all, and to see, like, he's not the right wing hero. First diversity in comics came on the scene, and over time I realized he's pretty left wing. He's like one of those just kind of libertarian, civic nationalist type of folks. Anyway, so to all the obese SJWs, if you don't like those kind of Star Wars channels and the rest, nobody's forcing you to watch them and angrily sit there. First of all, they screen record everything, including like a 6-hour live stream, and they take notes. So they can take clips and they can go on Twitter and bitch and moan, where back in the heyday of Comicsgate, where EVS was doing his streams, and they would be like 6-hour streams, they were doing exactly that. That means they don't like him, but they watch all 6 hours, clip the stuff, take notes, and take it online to Twitter. It's bizarre behavior when you think about it, because you go, the dude EVS is a comic guy, millionaire, selling comics and selling YouTube, he's selling anything he can possibly sell. So even if you don't like him, you go, well, this is his business. He's selling entertainment. You're doing it for free. I mean, technically your time is worth something, so it's costing you money. Like, what do you get out of it? Oh, I get the sweet dopamine of trying to get his channel taken down, or trying to interfere with his life, or all these other nerdrotic, and they hate nerdrotic, which is just bizarre. And then like Ryan Cannell, I can kind of understand that guy. He's he's a little bit further right. And then who are the other channels? Like Odin's Movie Blog and Yellow Flash and Tug and all these, like, just very milquetoast. I mean, they're great entertainment channels, but they're not going out there, and they're not exactly dressing up in Hugo Boss and taking these super far right-wing takes or anything. They're talking about pop culture and anime and Star Wars and video games, but they're just not on the plantation with these these left-wing SJWs. So these kids get so triggered at somebody like Yellow Flash. And you go, it's a independent businessman. Over the course of 5 years, the guy started a channel probably talking about anime to start with, and then reviewing pop culture. That seems kind of neutral. Doesn't seem like, oh, no, you're saying he's a far right wing because he doesn't like the globalist propaganda. Oh, you just don't have to watch his channel, and that doesn't connect with them, because it's part of the FOMO is that they don't want you watching these channels because they think they know better than you. And they say, left wingers say this all the time. They talk about the proletariat doesn't know what's good for them, and you look at these people who are really middle of the intellectual bell curve, never having accomplished anything, never having, like, the accomplishments that matter are things like where you run a business, where you are responsible for dozens of people getting a salary, and because they're responsible for their families. Those are the things, like when somebody really has responsibility on them, where they're responsible for other real humans that they go, they look in the eye all the time. And SJWs who are working at Starbucks and smoking weed and playing video games think they know how to run a civilization. Anyway, so the thing is, the same could be said about the blue-haired weirdo accounts. Like, aren't they just hating just to hate? At least the YouTube channels are making money. They always say monetize the hate while you're providing entertainment. And they are, whether you're on the left or the right, and people bitch about those channels getting so much in super chats. Well, they're working hard to provide entertainment. Entertainment has its own value as well. So I will also admit, in the SJW's defense, that when the channels get kind of all shouty, and I won't name them, about some stupid video game or movie, yes, that is just a bit to sell a video, because that's their job. They're selling entertainment. But the other part is that I mean, you know which ones are, it's like if you can sincerely. If you can pretend to be sincere, you're gonna go far in whatever endeavor you're in. The other part is the underlying movies or the games are actually woke cancer. So some heels versus babyface type of guy, he might be putting some emotion into it to keep you entertained, but he's not wrong. Star Wars and the rest of all the streaming shows across the platform, they're actually horrible, because if they were good, one, people would watch them. Word of mouth is magic. And if they were good and you had nerdrotic talking crap about them, people would be like, oh, this guy's just crazy. Or they'd still watch the shows and the numbers would be good. So something's not adding up. Are you saying that the YouTube Fandom Menace, Comicsgate, Sphere, and there's a few hundred people make videos, you're saying they're so powerful that they're able to influence millions of these obese blue-haired weirdos and soy boys to not watch Acolyte or Ahsoka or whatever, She-Hulk? It's like, well, I always say, how come the SJWs aren't watching this stuff? And suddenly they just kind of, they look real nervous and they go, oh, no, you understand. Concord and Dustborn, woke wasn't the problem. It was just that the type of game wasn't needed at this time. And I look at them and go, but it was woke to us, and that's our concern, is the woke. And then they don't really have an argument to that, because it's like, well, obviously it's subjective. If you're some double chin fat soy boy Coomer consumer, you're just on board supporting the whatever product, $150 billion Disney or some video game company is putting out for you because you know it's following left-wing propaganda. So, like, you're a soy boy. A soy boy is has to think about what the consensus reality is before he comes to a conclusion. He has to parse it through his mind to say, well, what's acceptable to these people I'm talking to? And this is, you know what a lot of soy boy stuff is? This is something you learn as a young man, is to give your honest opinion when asked, diplomatically for sure, politely in polite terms, but give it when asked. Don't ever say something to try to fit a girl's what she wants, what you think she wants. And you learn that very young. You learn that your teenage years, because you'll learn that it doesn't go to a good place. That's not what they want. They'd rather that you be some far right, Hugo Boss, Roman saluting Nazi, as long as you're sincere in it, than try to be the soy boy who is whatever he thinks the feminist girl, like the male feminist. You never want to be that. Like, you're just better off being far right, and I promise you're gonna get into more to SJW girls' pants than you would as a male feminist. There's nothing that drives a woman up faster than one of these male feminists. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, the proof is nobody is watching these shows. The numbers don't lie. And the thing is, YouTube is, for the love of God, it's just entertainment, which is fine, but it bothers the woke crowd because the Fandom Menace are pointing out how bad this stupid propaganda is, and you don't have to support woke, because ultimately they do need your money. Money's the lubricant that's running this ship. So this puts the left-wing kids in the position of defending the multi-billion-dollar companies, because they and Disney are on the same page with the globalist messaging. Hollywood is an extension of the Bolsheviks' viewpoint. So to your boy Zach or to the SJWs, are the channels hating just to hate? Not exactly. The presentation, the pseudo-outrage, is mostly fake. But they wouldn't be able to make those videos if Hollywood or the games company was making stories that people enjoyed. Disney really is, click on that, poison, and there's some honest emotion in the criticism, because Disney was very different before the Star Wars, before they did Star Wars in 2015. Pirates of the Caribbean, I don't know what year they first started that. They did 3. Those were classic kids' adventures that adults could also enjoy. Those were amazing movies for what they were, for a Disney, what is it, PG or G-rated movie about Johnny Depp going through and going on pirate adventures without being too scary. And there was a little romance, and you had great character actors in that. Orlando Bloom was in that, coming off of Lord of the Rings. I mean, that was just a fantastic Disney version of a swashbuckling movie. What was the other one? The Pirates of Penzance. The pirate movie was another fun movie too. That girl was, I think, schizophrenic or something. The thing is, Disney was very different. They went from Pirates of the Caribbean to 2015, A New Hope, or no, not A New Hope, whatever that 2015 Star Wars was, and it was a totally different Disney. They wouldn't even make the Pirates of the Caribbean movies today, because there was probably little bits in them that are slightly politically incorrect. So Hollywood and gaming is ultimately responsible, because they continue to make Dustborn, Concord, Acolyte, and the rest. That stuff really is horrible, and those channels can make millions of dollars crapping on that stuff to provide entertainment on YouTube. So what's the problem? Why would the SJWs care? Which is something that they always ask. They always ask, why do you care? And it's the meme of the guy pointing to the painting of, not Salvador Dali's painting. Son of a bitch. What's that guy's name? Oh, he put like the dystopian future. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. There's books that were made into movies. One of them was Red Dragon, and we did the cover of that, one of the original artworks of the book, and I forget the guy's. It's like he's showing hell coming to Earth, and like Nero fiddling while Rome burns, and the obese soy boy is pointing to it and going, well, how does this affect you personally? Why do you care? It's like, gee, yeah, how could the surrounding society have any effect on you? It's, well, I don't know. People are like giving their kids cross-sex hormones and then sterilizing them. Oh, is that where we are now? Sodom and Gomorrah? Yeah, Sodom meets Weimar 2.0. Anyway, so why do they care about nerdrotic channels giving people what they want? A little information, a little entertainment. It's called infotainment. He sells a great show to sit back, crack a beer, and listen to, and then talk about all the crap that is coming out from Hollywood and video games, and he's well paid for it, and he deserves the money, but it drives the left wing crazy. They always look at that kind of stuff, and they go, oh, they should get real jobs. It's like what, entertainment is not a real job? Is it any more real than CNN? It's like they're selling entertainment as well, or Fox, to be fair. There's nothing stopping them from getting online and making a pop culture review channel if they want, and they can get on their knees and just suck off Mickey Mouse as hard as they want. Talk about how great the communist propaganda is. The problem is, and their reason, the woke channels, they do occasionally try it, but the woke channels just don't do as well. I mean, they're getting like a tenth of the numbers that these outrage anti-SJW channels get, is because the SJWs don't really like Bolshevik propaganda, because the numbers show that people aren't watching, or that there's just not as many left-wing nutjobs as Twitter would have you believe, because the bottom line is they cancel these shows, and the movies are losing money. The left wing is flat out not supporting this woke Hollywood. I mentioned the same 20 movies over the past few years. With the superhero movies, the start of that bomb was probably Wonder Woman 84 in 2019 or 2020, because the Wu flu, it started like a zombie apocalypse. In the end of 2019, you started hearing news reports like you knew the news was trying to blow up a mountain into a molehill type of thing. And then in 2020, it was like full-blown paranoia with these left-wing nut jobs. Hashtag pure blood. I'm so glad I am. I never felt tempted to, what did I do? I washed my hands more, and I carried one of those panties that you put on your face around in my pocket for like 4 years. I didn't actually have to wear it. I just carried it all the time. So I was always prepared if someone, some Karen is having a spurg out. I had to wear it. I remember going to Target in the beginning to have to get some computer or something. And the guy, I had to wear it in there, right? And the guy behind the counter was wearing one, and it was made out of like, God, who is that chick and who's the boss? Alyssa Milano. It was made out of just mesh. Like it was a scarf type of thing that someone hand knitted, but the porosity and the permeability of it was huge. And he's working there. I'm looking at this, and I'm wearing, it's like, that's whatever. So it begs the question, why doesn't Hollywood just make normal movies again? I always say that if they made a movie that visually was as white as the original Star Wars, it would do a whole lot better than the modern race swap stuff. And I talked to somebody on Twitter about that, some blue-haired cat lady, childish weirdo, and I said, yeah, stuff should look like 77 Star Wars New Hope. And she goes, but those characters were mostly white. I go, yeah, that's what I mean. That's the universe they created. That's the alpha and omega. That's the canon. That's the expectations. There's nothing wrong with making a movie where it's going to be mostly a white cast. That's what people want. And for their mind, they go, no, everything has to be politics. And I'm not even saying like, oh, if you want to make some new movie, it's just some diverse vomited abortion, knock yourself out. Nobody's going to watch it because people hate diversity. People are very tribal. But to take something that was created in 77, the original Han Solo, Leia, and Luke, and the walking carpet, just continue that story and make it visually look. You had Lando Calrissian, people liked him. That's enough diversity. That's as far as it goes. And to an SJW, they hear that and they get filled with an incandescent rage. Same with Lord of the Rings. People like Lord of the Rings. It was made in 2000, I think. They liked it the way it was. It was the organic story. Rings of Power is a massive $700 million bomb that they're going to lose $500 million on. Why? Because they race swap the characters, and it's effing ridiculous. The thing is, European people are just better suited to heroic, adventurous roles in movies. It's not really believable when you see Pox fuzz bumpers or Admiral Holdo with the purple hair, chick who was in that dinosaur movie, the Michael Crichton book, acting like a man, because women aren't men, and Pox aren't European. And commies, Bolsheviks, Marxists, globalists, whatever you want to call them, the modern day equivalents, the worst iteration yet, they believe that for them, people have to be fungible cogs in a Bolshevik machine. So that a Haitian, for example, is precisely and accurately equal to a Japanese in all capacities. You go, oh, well, as a group, as an individual, they can differ. Yes, of course. But as a group, they can't. There's no commonalities. There's nothing you can say about them as a group, any unique characteristics or any probabilities that go along with them. No. No, of course not. Why do you feel that way? I mean, I can clearly visually see. I mean, empirically, we can start pointing things out. And like over the past hundreds of years to very recently, there's been no shortage of studies, but there's also historical influences, and you can see how the people make the history from the countries, how they differ. It's like, why do you have this psychological block that's preventing you from saying groups of individuals are also different as groups? Oh, because the media brainwashed me for 70 years. Oh, well, maybe why don't you break the conditioning? Like, how hard is it to break the conditioning? Well, you're in the left wing, you're in more of an echo chamber than the right wing. The right wing is free. The thing is, when you're free to be politically incorrect, then kind of anything's on the table. Which is probably why the right wing fights more, but the left wing also does this thing where they stay as a consensus, and anyone who gets out towards the outside perimeter either gets kicked out, where they're in no man's land because they don't know where to go. They're just kind of a libertarian, or they they fight to get themselves back to the center to get safe, because they'll get threatened by the political commissars of the left. So women aren't men, and pox aren't European, and you just can't do what they're doing, but they're doing it anyway, and they're getting very upset. They're losing money making this stuff. Disney lost $900 million last year. That's a publicly traded company. You can go look up their quarterly reports. But they're getting triggered that these YouTube channels are making, tons of cash, millions of dollars in total, making fun of the crap. And you go, oh, they should just stop making crap. But the reason they got so mad at Diversity in Comics sitting in his little Kia with his Samsung S5, I remember that because I had the same phone, and I thought the Kias looked cool. Just like mount a machine gun, a 30 cal on the top is what they kind of look like. They should, like the Taliban should be cruising around those things. He was sitting in his car talking about comics, and the reason he and his family got death threats from these they them type of people is because he was insulting their gospel, which was shown in the comics. Their belief, their anti-whiteism, it's like that is their religion. That is their core belief. Is a hatred of the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Nordic Chad. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys. Well, I'll definitely see you on SubScribestar, because that's the last platform to get kicked off of.